Well, who doesn't love those beloved Tennessee Goo Goo clusters? But the candy maker might be in trouble with the law for failing to pay its employees for overtime. Attorney Jim Higgins of the Higgins Firm recently stopped by. Jim, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, especially being here from Nashville, it's hard not to love Goo Goo clusters. Everybody loves them, but they're in some legal trouble. So tell us what happened in this overtime lawsuit that's new.
Right, the famous Nashville Goo Goo cluster. Well, there's been a collective action lawsuit that's been filed, and what it says is there's a few employees that are alleging that they should be paid for the time they have to come in at work, put on their safety gear, and they have to do that all before they clock in. And these are cases we call donning and doffing cases, and they're really interesting cases from a lawyer that does employment law. And that is the big question: should the employer pay for this time that these employees have to put on their safety gear, even if it's just a few minutes?
Right, and since it is just a few minutes, why a lawsuit?
Right, what's the big deal,
Yeah,
right? And we get that. We've done several of these cases, and it's all your perspective on the way you look at it. To a certain extent, it's not a big deal. If you look at it from one employee, and you may have to spend 3 or 4 minutes a day putting on safety gear. But when you all of a sudden have hundreds of employees doing that, or thousands of employees, what you see is that a company, and maybe or maybe not in this case, but they could be taking a little bit from each employee, and we've had them equal hundreds of thousands of dollars. They come back over several years of time, and you can get liquidated damages, you can get attorney's fees. They're really, really large cases, and it's, you know, I always tell people too, I think you have to look at it not just from the company standpoint, but from the people's standpoint. If I was a worker and said, hey, why don't you pay me to sit around the house for 5 minutes and play with my kids? They would say, you're crazy, right? They wouldn't do that.
Definitely.
But here, they're wanting people to come in, not clock in, spend time getting on this gear, and you know what? That's time that they could be at home, and that is time they should be with their kids. And they're not asking for anything extra. They just want to be paid for the time that they're putting in to work.
Right, makes sense to me. And quickly, do you handle cases like this one?
Yes, we've handled all sorts of employment law cases, our employment law division. We've done several, what these are called donning and doffing cases, where we have this fight. We've had similar cases where people aren't allowed to clock in until their computers boot up, which takes several minutes, where people just simply aren't paid overtime for working 40 hours a week. So yes, we've handled a lot of these. We still do.
Helping out a lot of people. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The Higgins Firm is serving Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-353-0930 or go to higginsfirm.com.